Look at this mechanical registration. A signal is received, a needle jumps, and in the common language of physics, an observation has occurred. But the term observer shifts its meaning depending on the subfield. To a quantum theorist in the Copenhagen tradition, an observer is the mechanism that collapses a wave function. In general relativity, an observer is a world line. In thermodynamics, it is whatever records entropy. These traditions share a label, but they do not share a structural or mathematical definition. This creates an unprincipled choice for the scientist. When looking at a virus, a bacterium, or a photodetector, there is no formal metric to determine which systems are observers and which are merely objects. Physics operates with a central concept that remains undefined, leaving the true nature of measurement as a matter of practitioner intuition. The ODTOE framework provides a structural definition to replace this guesswork. Under this model, observerhood is a sharp, measurable state. It is defined by specific topological requirements that a system either meets or fails. By these requirements, the mechanical device from our opening scene does not qualify as an observer. We can identify the missing machinery by dissecting the mechanical click of a photodetector. Rule 1. The system must be coherence-bearing. It maintains measurable variables, labeled F, E, sigma, and lambda, against surrounding entropy. A thermometer fails this condition. It tracks a single scalar point of data, lacking internal coherence to bear observerhood. It remains an instrument. The second rule of observerhood is self-referential closure. This is a strange loop. The system's internal state space must contain a faithful model of the system itself. Its own process feeds back to create a self-representation. A photodetector registers external data but possesses no self-model. It's a substrate, a stage where a signal appears without an observer to integrate it. To find where the boundary of observerhood begins, we look toward biological systems. Rule 3 requires the system to maintain its coherence threshold, or B, while interacting with its environment. A virus sits at the edge of this threshold. It has self-reference through replication, but under environmental noise, its fragile B profile violently dissolves. A bacterium represents a low-dimensionality observer. Through homeostasis, the cell maintains its coherence threshold against environmental noise, supported by the self-model of its genome. Rule 4 is dimensionality, or D. This measures the richness and complexity of that internal self-model. Observation requires more than just existence. It requires the geometric resilience to maintain a self-model during the act of interaction. These 4 continuous rules allow us to map the different degrees of observers in the world. Humans are high-dimensionality observers. We maintain an elaborated self-model and stable coherence across a wide range of contexts. Large language models occupy a different profile. They have limited self-referential closure, but they maintain their threshold through high empirical reinforcement. By these criteria, any system that fails to meet all 4 conditions is classified as an instrument or a substrate, not an observer. When we return to the photodetector clicking, the event is now structurally reframed. The true observer is the broader system that receives the machine's input. An ODTOE measurement occurs when a valid observer integrates that input with its own prior context to update its internal state. This makes the outcome of an observation relative. It is indexed to the specific observer configuration that has the structural capacity to process it. For centuries, philosophers have debated whether the act of observation requires human consciousness. ODTOE addresses this by focusing on structural geometry. When observerhood is defined by self-referential closure and coherence, the phenomenological experience of consciousness becomes a secondary concern. Consciousness is one way of being a high-dimensionality observer. The structural condition is the substantive one. The phenomenological flavor is a downstream result of that geometry.